This is how dangerous parasocial relationships can form. Dream doesn't love you. Dream can't love you. Dream doesn't know you. He can appreciate you, but he can't fucking love you.
Known as Carson. I am not comfortable with that, and I do not endorse it.
He was arrested for some pretty fucked up shit.
Posted photos of her body.
Did you grow up on the internet? If so, then you're probably a part of a parasocial relationship. Hi, welcome to a 17-year-old running her mouth because she has no one else to talk to and gets way too obsessive about things. Let's begin. To put it bluntly, a parasocial relationship is a one-sided relationship to the absolute max. Not only does one side not meaningfully interact with the other, one side isn't even aware of the other's personal existence. Despite this, the other side still contributes their time, effort, and money into the relationship. Sound familiar? These have existed as long as celebrities and fictional characters have existed, people growing attached to those they could never form a real relationship with, either because it's just unrealistic or literally impossible. Essentially, every fan or stan of anything or anyone is a part of a parasocial relationship. Yes, even you. Back in the day, people's access to celebrities was much more limited, stuck to only red carpet appearances, movies, or interviews. Even with this limited exposure, people still fell into parasocial relationships. Compare this to today, where people's idols can be found not only on multiple platforms, but in multiple forms of content readily available all the time. They're literally inescapable. They're on Twitch, YouTube, Discord, Snapchat, Facebook, Instagram, the actual news. The list goes on and on. With this increased exposure to people's idols, attachments became far stronger and far more common, and the fans who take it too far also increased. The creators of today have much more intimate and real feeling content, vlogging their daily lives, live streaming for hours at a time. It genuinely feels like you're interacting with a person. All of this combined essentially creates the perfect storm for parasocial relationships. A likable persona, and lots of opportunities to see them, equals starting to care about and like that persona. These relationships are natural, everybody experiences them, but the amount of downsides to them are pretty significant for everybody involved. But first, the positives! Personally, I don't have very many friends, never have. I know, it's a shocker, guys. Who would have thought? I'm unbelievable. One of the only things that's been consistent in my life is the content creators I enjoy, and I, along with so many others, have had these creators turn into anchors of stability and familiarity. These creators unintentionally give their viewers a person to rely on, to feel safe with. The whole term of comfort streamer, which Urban Dictionary defines as a streamer who puts a smile on your face, just goes to show how much people rely on these creators as sources of happiness and security. During quarantine, I was beyond thankful to have Instagram and TikTok and Twitch and Instagram to see these creators that I enjoyed to watch. Those creators kept me feeling socialized. It served as a much needed distraction. Without it, I probably would have just been moping around the house all lonely all day. Believe me, I still did that. But I didn't do it as much as I could have. Even if the creators I was watching didn't know I existed and they didn't know the effect they were having on my life, I still felt thankful to them and grateful for them. On the flip side, parasocial relationships can also be pretty great for the creator as well. Because their viewers feel this attachment to them, the viewers are more likely to watch, interact with, and financially support them. This allows creators to live off of creating solely because of their viewers. If the viewers didn't feel any sort of attachment to them, there would be no incentive to keep watching and keep interacting with and keep donating to these people. P.O. boxes are filled with cards and gifts. Comment sections are filled with support, and creators' bank accounts are more than healthily lined, all because their viewers are attached to them. These fans genuinely care about the creator as a person. Creators are also granted a community to be a part of, just like the fans are, thanks to parasocial relationships. They literally have hordes of people who adore them. The creator will post something and it will be met with undying support and gratitude and thanks. People will tell them that they helped save their lives. Creating becomes a really gratifying process. Sharing parts of yourself with the world and being met with accepting arms from a community that loves you. Parasocial relationships help the creator feel like they're doing something good, both for themselves and their viewers. The This relationship feels like equal give and take. Creators put out content that people love and enjoy, and in return are given love and support right back. But unfortunately for all parties involved, this really isn't the case. Did I just list all the positives of parasocial relationships? Yes. Am I about to basically just rebut everything I just said? Also yes. If you didn't know, the wonderful little phrase at the beginning of this video was a tweet written by Dream, a very, very popular and probably equally controversial Minecraft YouTuber referring to his own experiences with parasocial relationships. Dream is a creator that's mentioned a lot in the conversation of parasocial relationships and general stan culture, and for good reason. The guy sprang up out of literally nowhere and started gaining millions of subscribers monthly when he was a nobody practically a year and a half ago. He rose to fame incredibly quickly and didn't really have the knowledge or the maturity that most big content creators of today have. Most big content creators of today grew very slowly and had that time to figure out what the fuck they were doing. Dream didn't. His fanbase is incredibly fierce and loyal, to a fault in some cases, and will defend him against anything. While that's nice and all, the pressure put on Dream and all big content creators to act carefully so they don't set off their own fan bases is overwhelming. Every creator walks on eggshells to make sure they don't set off an unstoppable chain reaction on social media. They feel that others' safety, sanity, and platforms rides squarely on their shoulders, because if they make the wrong move and their fan base attacks, it's over for them. While they're not doing the attacking, it's their fans, so they still feel responsible. The guilt and paranoia creators experience trying to keep their fan bases in check is honestly scary. You can't even call out pedophilic fans at risk that calling them out will only reinforce their behavior inadvertently. Address the bad and you'll only bring more attention to it. Focus on the good and risk getting cancelled for not doing anything about the bad stuff. Creators quickly become a puppet to their own fan bases. Because of the connection fans feel to their creators, this also can create just generally very uncomfy situations for the creator. Creators will regularly see very graphic fan art of themselves drawn by a stranger. They'll see entire novels written about them by someone they don't even know. While they aren't doing any harm per se, it can just be very unsettling and unnerving to see that sort of thing about yourself by someone you don't know. Every creator has different boundaries on what they are and aren't okay with, but even if they state this, it's regularly ignored or just assumed otherwise by fans, which just leads to overall very awkward situations for the creator. All of my examples are Minecraft YouTubers, but anyways, here's another example. TommyInnit, an underaged Minecraft YouTuber, has repeatedly stated that he's uncomfortable being shipped with his friends and any not safe for work content being created about him. Despite this, go on Wattpad or AO3 and you will find literally thousands of fanfictions directly disobeying his own wishes. Another creator, Wilbur Soot, also a Minecraft YouTuber, has openly expressed his discomfort with the obsessive nature of fans and his desperation for privacy in his own life.
It's a very weird feeling knowing that when I'm not live, when I'm laying in that bed trying to fall asleep, there are people in the world thinking about what I'm up to. If you're starting to notice that your account is turning into just talking about what I might be up to in my day, no thank you, I don't want that.
Content creators aren't workaholics by choice, they're forced to be. They're constantly being watched, there is no turning off the camera entirely. They're constantly entertaining their viewers whether they try to or not, through being spotted in public, people tracking their Spotify, watching their Steam account to see what games they're playing, trying to ping them on Discord. It is never ending. They are always on the clock and they are never truly free. There is no 9 to 5 for a creator. They're always going to be on someone's mind, and there's always going to be someone who overcrosses their boundaries simply because they feel they know the creator. But creators aren't the only ones getting the short end of this proverbial parasocial relationship stick. It's a very short stick. While the content creators do give their viewers happiness, they also inadvertently give them jealousy, sadness, loneliness, envy. It's like giving them an ice cream bar. On the outside, you've got that thin layer of chocolate, yum, and then on the inside, you've got the mass amounts of plain-ass vanilla ice cream. Metaphors aren't my strong suit, I know. Moving on. We've all probably been in a one-sided friendship before. Someone's taking a lot more than they're giving. Those types of relationships are absolutely exhausting to be a part of, constantly feeling the need to prove yourself, to give more, trying to do anything to get that same attention you give back in return. In parasocial relationships, that give quite literally can't be returned, especially when one fan's efforts are one of millions. It simply can't be done. Even if the fans get nothing out of it per se, they still get the little crumbs of happiness from a new video being uploaded, an Instagram post, or their donation being featured on stream. But these interactions lose a lot of significance when they realize that these little crumbs of attention are the exact same everybody else is getting. There is no feeling special. I'll admit my parasocial relationships got horrific for my mental health during quarantine. While they did do some good on some days, a lot of days it just sent me spiraling. The only people I weren't cut off from were content creators, and so I formed a very unhealthy attachment to them. I would quite literally get so jealous I would feel physically ill. I would cry and cry, wishing that I could be them, I could know them, that they could know me. We would be such good friends if we could just meet. I was putting in my effort for the friendship, why weren't they returning it? What did I need to do to get noticed out of millions? Why did it have to be so unfair? I was stuck in a paradox. I wasn't going to get noticed, but if I left, I'd be truly alone. Fans in parasocial relationships feel entitled. It's a given. After all the effort they've put into that relationship, why wouldn't they expect a little something extra in return? After all they've done for this person, giving them a platform, supporting them, defending them against others, etc., etc., don't they deserve a little something extra in return? A little attention, a little support, a little extra connection? It's a natural reaction to feel that way, but in parasocial relationships, it can't and won't go away. There is no way for the favor to be returned. Fans will always feel that weak sense of being betrayed, of being overlooked, of being unsupported, and there's literally nothing they can do about it. It's just the way it is. That creator is a part of their life, whether they like it or not. To turn off social media is to cut off ties with a dear old friend who'd really done nothing wrong. They've been there through the ups and downs, the good and the bad, and they'd never stray from your side. So it's unfair to just cut them off entirely. To clarify, I'm in no way putting the blame on the content creators. They're just as stuck in this as the fans. Fans feel this deep sense of connection to someone who doesn't and won't know they exist. Creators love their fans, but also fear them, not knowing how to make them behave. Yes, it in fact gets much, much worse. Yay, parasocial relationships! If what I just talked about wasn't shitty enough, now we're taking it into personal safety. Buckle up! The main difference between celebrities and content creators is that content creators are truly normal people. They just make videos in their rooms, doing whatever, and then have to go live out their daily lives in the general public. Celebrities, on the other hand, live in secrecy in high-security mansions in the Hollywood Hills. What YouTuber or streamer do you know is offered that same level of protection? Both celebrities and creators face the same dangerous threats from their fans. Both celebrities and creators face the same threats from dangerously obsessive fans and scarily brave haters, yet the concern around their safety drastically differs from one to the other. There is no threat if a celebrity gets doxxed. They probably have 42 houses, all in highly secure gated communities. There's no point. And how are parasocial relationships to blame? There would be no incentive for fans to target the famous if they didn't feel some sort of connection to them. Stans, celebrity stalkers, and overly obsessive fans are all a part of very strong parasocial relationships, often evolving from feeling platonic to feeling much more than that, giving them that much more reason to act. Whether their intentions are positive or negative, hell-bent on joining their creator in their daily life or destroying it, creator safety is incredibly precarious. Trigger warning for the next section of this video, there's mentions of death, pedophilia, stalking, violence, and sexual violence. I warned you, it got a lot worse. The term swatting entails prank calling the police with a situation so dangerous they have to dispatch armed officers to the location given. Oftentimes, content creators, specifically streamers, are the victims of these pranks because their attackers have a greater chance of seeing the damage that they caused unfold in front of them. Countless content creators have been swatted, many even multiple times during their career. And since this crime is so new, there's very little protection offered for its prime targets. From my research, no content creator has been killed from swatting yet. However, back in 2017, a swatting call was made that resulted in the death of a completely innocent party. Andrew Finch, a father of two, was shot and killed by police after two swatters called and gave the wrong address when they were meaning to target someone they were playing Call of Duty with. They were sentenced to only 20 years in prison despite literally assassinating a person, clearly showing the law and law enforcement have no idea how to deal with this new and growing issue. Whether swatters are motivated by jealousy, anger, hatred, or pure entertainment, content creators' lives are at risk because of the effect these parasocial relationships have had on swatters. Along the same lines, content creators are also regularly harassed, stalked, and hypersexualized by those who claim to be their fans. Let's rapid fire a few examples of how fucked up, but also how common this is. I'm going to be reading these off of my iPad because I can't be bothered to stare at the camera since this is meant to be rapid fire. Nico, a Twitch streamer, shared her thoughts about a blog that was 250 pages long, created by a viewer dedicated solely to writing about Nico and this viewer's entirely delusional relationship. Nico has never met this person before, hardly even spoken to them, and they had convinced themselves they were in a full-fledged relationship to her, making every part of her content about them and their relationship. Meg Turney, another Twitch streamer, was nearly murdered in her home by a viewer, Christopher Giles, I don't care how you pronounce his last name, in a fit of jealous rage. What was the viewer so upset about? That Meg was married and not married to Giles. Meg and her husband, Gavin Free, were hiding in their own house as Giles searched the house for them, intent on killing Free. Giles had even written down on his notes app, I want Gavin Free to die alone with no children. All because he was in a relationship with Giles' internet obsession. LadyDevann, also a streamer, contacted the FBI when her stalker began sending regular death threats, calling the police and telling them she was being held hostage by her boyfriend, and even claiming it was her fault that his brother had died. He contacted her on every platform available hundreds of times a day. The FBI wouldn't help her until she found a very specific and uncommon form of a restraining order that resulted in him being sentenced to a few months. Months. SweetAnita, also a streamer, filed a restraining order against her stalker that was never upheld and never acted upon. He regularly showed up at her door, often with weapons, and consistently threatened her. He slept on her doorstep, knocked on her door for hours, and left clues around her property and social media to remind her that he's always there. She called the police multiple times and they only ever told her to just stop streaming and did nothing more. Colleen Ballinger, shockingly not a streamer but the creator of Miranda Sings, has had fans not only show up at her door but members of her family's doors as well. Colleen and her brother both have young children at home aside from themselves and their significant others. Despite her request to leave her and her family alone, the behavior has continued. Frivolous Fox, an ASMR live streamer and YouTuber, spoke out about her struggle with having multiple stalkers during her career. She has had to increase her home security and directly collaborate with the police because of how likely it was that her safety would be compromised by one of her stalkers. Bianca Devins, a micro-influencer on Instagram, was murdered in July of 2019 at the age of 17, how old I am now, by one of her followers, Brandon Clark. The two never even dated, but Clark reported always wanting more and showed obsessive tendencies towards her in his computer history. Devins went to a concert and kissed someone else and was confronted about it by Clark and was subsequently killed by him. Her murder was praised on 4chan, 8chan, and incels.co. Clark shared photos of her corpse and even live-streamed before he got caught by police. Bianca was 17. These are just a few stories of undoubtedly thousands. This issue is clearly not being taken seriously enough by anybody. Creators are crying out for help, begging for their torture and threats to stop. Their pleas fall on only deaf ears, their fans and law enforcement treating them as insignificant and overdramatic, blatantly ignoring them. Not only do parasocial relationships dangerously affect the creators, they also dangerously affect the fans. Fun for everybody! This type of relationship puts in power dynamics between the fan and the creator holding more power. Fans worship and idolize the creators, willing to do practically anything to get noticed by them. Most fans of creators are also underaged. Are we seeing the issue here? Let me spell it out for you. pedophilia and grooming. It seems like an almost weekly occurrence at this point that a creator is being called out for manipulating their underage fans, and this really isn't an exaggeration either. One of the more or less recent but massively reported case was with Call Me Carson and a number of his underage fans. Carson was 18 and 19 talking to fans that were 16 and 17 on Discord. Screenshots of DMs show the sexual nature of these relationships and how Carson pushed the victims to continue this nature. While the age gaps between him and his victims was technically legal, these people were still being groomed by Carson because of the power he held over them. All of the victims were fans of Carson, admiring and looking up to him. Obviously, they would do whatever it took to have Carson, someone they idolize, to stay in their life as more than a content creator and see them as more than just a fan. This can very easily lead to very dangerous situations where the victim feels pressured to do whatever the creator says just to appease them. Yes, the age gap was legal, but Carson's behavior was still manipulative and morally wrong. He used his status as an admirable content creator to get what he wanted out of his fans. While this instance is technically legal, there are a multitude of examples that are entirely illegal. Onision is a creator that is very commonly talked about in the subject of predatory creators, and for good reason. He and his husband Kai groomed a fan named Sarah over the course of 4 years. Sarah and Kai met on a forum for Onision fans where she was then connected with Kai and Onision and was then allegedly groomed for years. Onision even admitted to having sex with Sarah right after she turned 18. While she was underage, she lived with them and knew them personally. Lionmaker, a Minecraft YouTuber, also reportedly had many sexual relations with his underage fans. He publicly shared on his Twitter child pornography of one of his fans who was 16 and the photo. The victim's family even said that she was utterly brainwashed by him. Lionmaker was also accused of asking a 12-year-old fan, yes, 12 years old, of child pornography of herself, telling her not to tell anyone about the conversation. He was over 18 in both instances. One of the truly worst cases I've seen regarding this topic is almost never talked about. Jinbop, a Minecraft YouTuber who regularly collaborated with people like Skydoesminecraft, Afmao, Yourpa Ross, and other first-generation Minecraft YouTubers, was legitimately arrested for sexual misconduct with a minor. Jinbop was roughly 23 at the time when he started a relationship with his 14-year-old fan. Yes, 14 and 23. Yes, she was a fan of him. He actively encouraged the sexual nature of their relationship and was accused of possessing child pornography. The victim even allegedly wore a locket with his picture in it. The FBI got involved and he was convicted. It's unknown if he's still in prison today. Just as before, these are just a few stories of thousands. Parasocial relationships leave fans incredibly vulnerable to coercion and manipulation, especially underage fans who are too young to know any better. I was taught about internet safety as a kid too. Don't talk to strangers, don't trust anyone online, but if one of my favorite content creators when I was 13 reached out to me, I probably would have become a victim too. The one-sided nature of parasocial relationships leave fans incredibly desperate for attention, since they never receive any in the first place. They feel like they know the creator and can trust them after spending so much time with them, but this time spent isn't real. That time spent is through YouTube videos and live streams that are manufactured and produced. It isn't real and it isn't a true judge of character and personality, but most kids don't know that. The Jinbop story really fucked me up when I heard about it, since I was around the same age as the victim, and I was a massive fan of him and all of his friends. I remember searching up where Jinbop went since he hadn't uploaded on his own channel or been featured in any of his friends' channels for a while. I found a minute-long clip of Skydoesminecraft talking about it, and a short article. That was it. I don't think I ever looked at content creators the same way. I still don't. I am hyper aware I am their primary target, a girl and underaged. And I know that I'm also incredibly vulnerable to this sort of thing happening to me because my parasocial relationships do run so deep. Bottom line, parasocial relationships, when involving the wrong people, can have absolutely devastating consequences for fans and creators. The internet has never been a safe place. We all knew that, but I don't think most users know how close to the danger they actually are until it's too late. So what does all of this mean? How can we fix it? To be honest, I have no idea. I'm not sure what the internet would be without parasocial relationships. I don't see a way for the internet or content creators to exist without the presence of parasocial relationships when it's so deeply ingrained into the culture and way of the internet. Considering all this, I suppose the only solution is to keep yourself in check. Fans need to be held accountable for their behavior and emotions, and not be stalkers. Law enforcement needs to take parasocial relationships and its threats seriously and provide creators and fans with proper support. And content creators have to be more careful on how they use their platform and how it could affect others, and not be pedophiles. This topic is sort of kind of fucky to think about. It makes you overanalyze how you consume, or in some cases create, content, and how it affects you and those around you. To wrap it all up in a nice pretty bow, parasocial relationships bring about this much good and about this much bad. But isn't that just the internet anyways?